Hello, everybody. Welcome back to 428 Shibuya Scramble. This is part 31. I'm here with Yoshi.
Hello, folks, and happy Halloween. It's Halloween over here.
It's Halloween as we record this. Not for me. It's actually Hallows Day.
Is that All Saints Day? Or is that something different?
I have no idea. Oh yeah, that's right. I went back in time. Do you remember what happened last time?
Uh,
It's gotta be a faster way to scroll forward. If I didn't do it.
um.
We did Oops All Minonikawa. That's what happened.
Oh yeah. So he's in there with the weird new printing czar,
Yeah.
the weirdly threatening printing guy,
I forgot his name.
and he also has the loan sharks.
Yeah, that's why we went back in time, because one of the tips said, like, he said this 3 times before. Do you remember what the 3 times are?
Yeah, we did not. I did not.
Where did my little journal go? Well, guess I'm not using it.
Oh dear. Does that mean we don't know what any of our characters sound like?
Oh yeah.
All
It's
right.
probably under this pile of stuff, if I don't feel like searching. What else do you remember?
Nothing.
Alright, so they
Is that the
were...
right answer?
They,
Did I get it right?
almost. You almost got it. They ran off to this, Lautrec again.
Oh yeah, low track. Of course.
And they hung out with, Toyama.
Shizuo.
Oh, Shizuo might have been there. I have no idea. I wonder if he was in the background of any of this stuff. That's not Shizuo.
Yeah. Anyways,
He did Minodikawa punch Toyama to get him to
yeah.
actually get some work done instead of run around. And then they ran off toward the SOS hideout, and Chiaki tripped on the stairs and her knees all bloodied up. And they're like,
Right.
what do we do? And that's it.
All right. So who are we checking in with tonight?
So, we have a full Kano hour to head into. We also have a jump to Osawa if we want to do that.
All right. Let's check in with Kano. We're gonna have to do it sooner or later.
Alright. Darn. How do I skip change time? No. Time chart. I guess I'll just scroll down. I guess I could hit that controls button there, but my controller doesn't have the options for it. Okay, let's see. Do you remember what happened last time with Kano? If not, it's okay. I'll hit the summary thing.
Doing cop stuff.
Let's do copy stuff.
He confronted Tateno about the fact that Tateno is a jerk.
After going AWOL for hours, Kyozo Tateno finally makes contact with Kano, demanding that the younger
And
detective
he's gonna shoot him,
bring
right? He's like,
Hitomi
"I'll
to him,
friggin' shoot you."
or he'll kill
Tateno
Maria.
was like, "You're not gonna do it."
Yeah. Kano heads to the rooftop of a building in Nanpeidai to meet with Tateno, hoping to find out what he's really after. Tateno reveals that in order to make up for his past mistakes, he's been following the orders of Daisuke Endo, who needs Hitomi dead to save his daughter Suzune. In order to save Maria's life, Kano pulls his gun on Tateno, and now we will see if he's able to pull the trigger.
Oh yeah.
A gunshot rang out from Tateno's gun, but it was a wild shot, fired reflexively as a weapon flew out of his hand. A figure had leapt from behind the water storage tank, kicking him in the arm that held the gun. Then, moving almost too fast for the eye to track, the newcomer delivered an elbow strike to Tateno's jaw. Kano didn't even have the chance to fire his gun. Before he could react, Maria's kidnapper was already laid out on the ground. Without so much as looking back, the girl bolted down the stairs.
Maria!
Kano shouted. He started to chase after her, but a bright glimmer in the corner of his eye stopped him in his tracks. The strange assailant had drawn a knife and was preparing to slit the unconscious Tateno's throat. Kano quickly brought his gun back to bear.
You can't do that. I still love him. I mean, stop right there.
Alright, who do you think's holding this knife? If, for your money, if you had to guess.
I think it's Kanan, because she's always doing cute stuff like that.
I thought it would reveal it. The knife stopped, mere millimeters from Tateno's neck.
That looks like a dude's hand, though.
Kano was sure that if he hadn't intervened, the detective's throat would have been slit already. The knife wielder pulled back the hood that had been concealing her face.
You! I know you!
Kano said, shocked to see that he recognized the attacker.
Oh, so I was right. She's just got strong hands.
It was the girl who'd been knocked down by the minivan explosion. You heard her voice?
She's Southern?
Yeah, Southern polite is what I remember.
Alright. Why stop me?
She asked, her tone ice cold.
Nailed it. Weren't you just about to shoot him yourself? I don't have a reason to shoot him anymore. Not now that you've helped Maria escape. Please, put the knife away. Very well. Looks like he's not waking up for a while anyway.
The girl withdrew the knife and rose to her feet. Look at this Tateno with his butt in the air.
Why did you come to Maria's rescue? Because she's my friend.
The girl said simply.
She's been infected with a virus.
Kano said.
We have to get her help as soon as possible.
He headed for the stairs that Maria had scampered down.
Not so fast. Don't move.
No so fast.
No so fast. Don't move.
The girl's sharp tone made Kano stop.
What for?
He demanded.
I thought you wanted to help. I do want to help her, which is why I'm not letting the police get their hands on her.
The girl's voice was quiet, but hard as steel.
The police are afraid of the Uwa virus spreading, which is why they'll certainly place Maria under quarantine. If that happens, there won't be any way to save her. Just who in the world are you? Before I answer that, let's make a deal.
Kano waited, non-committal.
I have information relevant to this case.
The girl continued.
I want to make an exchange.
Kano swallowed the lump in his throat.
Exchange for what? Tell me where Hitomi Osawa is. Hitomi Osawa?
Stanley had taken Hitomi into custody. Kano could probably get in touch and ask him where she was, but...
Why do you want to know where Hitomi is? Do we have a deal or not?
The girl looked like she was in no mood to argue. Still, if she knew about the Ua virus, she was probably telling the truth about having information. But it was a violation of police policy to leak information on any investigation to a third party. Besides, was it wise to trust this young woman without knowing who she was? Kano weighed his options for a moment before replying. What do you want to say?
Let's ask her who she is.
Alright.
I feel like that's what one that kind of would actually do.
Yeah. I feel like he would chicken out
First.
again, like with Shizuo. Didn't that happen?
Yeah.
We tried to tell him, he was like...
Yeah, he did that. He said that. First, I need to know who you are. My name is Kanan.
Kanan? Kano thought back to the grisly scene at the Foreign Syndicate's hideout. Did she? Oh, I guess that's a thought.
She do that?
Kano was almost afraid to wonder. As if sensing his unease, Kanan spoke up, her voice low and calm.
Once you hear what I have to say, I think you'll be more inclined to tell me where Hitomi is.
There was still a lingering trace of adolescence in this strange girl's face. It was hard to believe someone so young could be a covert Middle Eastern operative. And yet, Kano had seen how quickly she'd been able to render Tateno unconscious.
Alright then. Alright then. Guess I'll go first.
Kanan began.
There's someone out there trying to get their hands on the antiviral drug. My objective is to eliminate this person and put a stop to their plan.
Kano felt neither surprise nor horror at her use of the term eliminate. After all that had happened today, he realized his sensibilities had gone numb.
This person you're after, you're talking about an arms dealer named Alphard, aren't you?
Kanan nodded.
The Ua virus has been weaponized and tested several times on the battlefield to great effect.
She said.
The antiviral will render this weapon wholly ineffective. Countries the world over are dying to get their hands on it. Then why did Alphard orchestrate this kidnapping? If the goal is to get the antiviral, why not just steal it from the laboratory?
There was a lot about this kidnapping case that still didn't add up. Kano was sure Alphard's plan was hidden in those baffling details.
Lab security at Okoshi Pharmaceutical is practically perfect. The place is under surveillance 24 hours a day, and getting to where the antiviral is stored requires bypassing 3 sophisticated electronic locks. Getting the antiviral out is impossible.
Unexpectedly, a sly grin appeared on Kanan's face.
If you were Alphard, how would you steal it?
She asked.
Huh?
Kano was taken aback by the sudden question. He thought good and hard about how to answer. Ooh, we got 4 choices.
If you can't sneak something out, maybe you could sneak something in.
That's what we're gonna say?
Yeah.
Alright, Kano, you got this.
If you can't sneak something out, maybe you can sneak something in.
I like how his voice is getting like progressively squeakier and higher as the show goes on. Kano hadn't had any particular flash of insight. He just figured the opposite of the obvious might be the answer. To his surprise, Kanan gave a nod.
Very astute. Wait, really? 6 days ago, Alphard injected Hitomi Osawa with the Uwu virus.
What?
The tale had taken a sudden and very unexpected turn. So it wasn't only Maria who had been infected, but Hitomi as well? And 6 days ago at that.
Wait, hold on. Hitomi Osawa was perfectly healthy earlier today. So that must mean...
Exactly. Kenji Osawa administered the antiviral to her.
An unsettling thought occurred to Kano. It was supposedly impossible for Osawa to access the antiviral all by himself. But if he'd been able to give it to his daughter all the same, then that had to mean...
He needed Mamoru Tanaka's help to do it, of course.
Kanan said.
Which is why Alphard bribed Tanaka ahead of time.
That's what happened.
Tanaka had been paid off to inject Hitomi with the virus. Getting Osawa to take action at that point wouldn't have been difficult.
But why go to such lengths to get the antiviral administered to Hitomi?
Why would Alphard have Hitomi infected with the virus only to then have her father cure it?
Because he's crazy. It's been roughly a week since she was given the antiviral. The DDS is still in her body.
The what?
Essentially, taking blood from Hitomi Osawa now would allow someone to extract minuscule amounts of the antiviral.
Kano was stunned. Suddenly, all these seemingly unrelated threads were beginning to form a pattern. Let's make a pattern. Let's make a pattern. Let's make a pattern. Sorry, go ahead.
So, since getting the antiviral itself out of the lab wasn't an option, Alphard must have thought of using a human vessel.
Oh.
Oh.
I guess that's...
Kano said that.
But he was copying Kanan's accent just because, you know, he was really getting into it.
He's very immature. He's like a toddler, just mimicking you.
Which means the thing that Alphard's really after is...
Kanan nodded.
Yes, Hitomi's blood.
She finished.
Alphard specifically requested that Hitomi make the ransom handoff.
Kanan said.
Additionally, the crime syndicate was hired to carry out a relay with the attaché case containing the ransom money. This would disrupt the investigation and distract the police, allowing the kidnappers to target Hitomi in secret.
Wait, no. Hold on.
There was something about this story that still made no sense to Kano.
Tell me this.
He said to Kanan.
Why not just kidnap Hitomi in the first place?
Why not just kidnap Hitomi in the first place?
That was the key question right there.
Why kidnap Maria instead?
If Alphard wanted Hitomi's blood, abducting her, not her sister, was the obvious move. Ooh, we've got Detective Kano doing some actual detectiving.
Detecting?
Well, it's not actually Kano doing it. It's us doing it for him. He's just, you know, the mouthpiece for.
These are all kind of the same.
Yeah, they're all the same
Okay,
question.
Let's go with C.
The tone. It's just the tone of how we say it. The girls hadn't gotten themselves mixed up, had they? Maria with Hitomi, Hitomi with Maria. If that were the case, then the syndicate's plan actually had been to abduct Hitomi.
Yeah,
Kano said excitedly.
when you think about it, it all makes sense.
No, it so doesn't.
Kanan gave him a look.
No, it doesn't. Not that it isn't an interesting idea.
Well, so much for that.
Kano thought.
I've met both Maria and Hitomi.
Kanan said.
They look alike, but they're completely different. That was definitely Maria who was here just now.
She had a point. Last night, back at the Osawa residence, when Hitomi had agreed to make the ransom handoff, her parents would have been with her. And they certainly wouldn't get Maria and Hitomi confused. It was hard to believe the girls had actually switched places, which meant the criminals had deliberately abducted Maria after all.
It'd be like mixing up two completely different colors.
Kanan said.
They're that different. So it wasn't Alphard's mistake. It's my fault that Maria was kidnapped.
Kanan looked away.
I contacted her. Oh, this is still her, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I contacted her before this all started. I told her about the kidnapping plan, and I gave her a GPS beacon to give to her sister so that I could track Hitomi's location after she was abducted. But my plan backfired. Maria switched places with Hitomi and let herself get taken by Alphard. Wait, so they did get themselves mixed up?
What the hell?
Yeah. Why hadn't Maria taken this to the police? Or, if she was so determined to protect her sister, why not just get her to leave town or something like that?
There must have been some sort of accident, though.
Kanan continued.
The GPS was never turned on after the kidnapping, and I wasn't able to track Maria down. But there was something that even Alphard hadn't counted on.
Kanan cast a glance over at Tateno.
This person right here.
She said. So, Tateno had disrupted Alphard's plan by going after Hitomi himself.
Considering where it's all led,
Kanan continued.
Alphard must be panicking about now, but we can't let down our guard. Even now, I'm sure the mastermind is thinking of some way to fit what this man has done into the master plan.
So it's a perfectly imperfect plan. Is that what you're saying?
Precisely.
Kanan flashed Kano an approving grin.
I heard that from Stanley,
Kano said.
the man who drove you to the hospital earlier.
That case officer, huh?
Case officer? So that was it. Stanley was CIA.
Wait, didn't we know that?
Yeah, I thought so. Ever since he
Like, he's
showed
not
up,
a
I
friggin'
thought...
tourist. He's not just there to hang out.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I feel like maybe because this was originally for a Japanese audience, maybe they don't just automatically assume an American in a suit is CIA. Maybe he thought he was just like some embassy tourist guy who knew how to fight very well. I don't know. But it looks like there are over 100 CIA personnel active in Japan. Although we don't know what the exact number is. As of whenever this came out.
Cool.
Now that Kano thought about it, it all made sense.
Um, wait, is this... Who is this? This is Kanan, right?
Um,
It's gotta be Kanan. Kano would never say anything this,
Yeah.
like, put together.
yeah, he wouldn't use big words like connections or
No.
obtaining.
Since Alphard is an arms dealer with worldwide connections, I don't know what nation might be trying to obtain the antiviral. Obviously, any country that has the viral weapon will want to prevent their enemies from obtaining it. It's no huge surprise that people are butting in trying to put a stop to Alphard's plan.
A tiny beeping sound caught Kano's attention. Kanan pulled a PDA from her breast pocket. A PDA is a personal digital assistant. It refers to various types of small portable devices for information management. Occasionally referred to...
It's a Palm Pilot, basically.
Yep. There it is.
Interesting. The GPS I gave to Maria has just been powered on. Now I can find her location.
Where is she?
She's on the move. But why is the GPS suddenly active now?
Kanan frowned.
At any rate, I've told you what I know. Tell me where Hitomi is.
All right.
Kano got out his phone and called Stanley. The American was quick to pick up. What's going on?
Where's Hitomi?
We're on our way to Endo Electronics in Dogonzaka.
Endo Electronics? Why are you going there?
Kano was familiar with the dilapidated old storefront. He had passed by the place countless times. Too long of a story. There's a lot that's happened, Stanley replied. How are things on your end?
About as bad as they could be, but I'm getting closer to the truth. Please, make sure you keep Hitomi safe. Alphard is after her blood.
Her blood? Kano told Stanley what he'd heard from Kanan. I see. So that's what's going on. Once we're finished with things in Dogonzaka, I'll bring Hitomi right back to the precinct.
Where is she?
Kanan asked as soon as Kano had hung up.
She's on her way to an electronics store in Dogonzaka.
I see.
Kanan checked Maria's location on her PDA.
First, I need to get Maria.
She said.
I'll get to Hitomi after that.
I'm going with you.
Be my guest.
With that, Kanan was off and running. Kano took one last glance at the unconscious Tateno, then hurried after Kanan as fast as he could. They ran from South Hill and Nanpeidai towards Shibuya Station. As they darted and weaved madly through the narrow side streets, Kanan took an occasional glimpse at her PDA. It felt to Kano like they must be taking the shortest possible route to Maria's location. He stayed quiet, keeping pace as Kanan led the way. Before he knew it, they were heading up Dogonzaka. In not too long, they'd be at Endo Electronics.
Hey,
Kano called out to Kanan.
What?
She shouted back without turning.
are you sure this is the right area?
Are you doubting the GPS? Let's ask to see it.
Well, they're just like making a mad dash.
Actually, can I see that GPS unit?
Kano peered over Kanan's shoulder and saw that the GPS was indeed pointing in the direction they were headed. They weren't just running around at random. nor was the unit broken.
And electronics is right up ahead.
He said.
What?
Kanan stopped abruptly.
What are you suggesting?
The twins are heading for the same location. That's my guess.
Still, what did that actually mean? Kano hadn't figured that out yet.
Because he's dumb.
Well, they took off running again, and before long, Endo Electronics came into view. Kanan stopped in front of the shop door.
Right here.
She said, glancing again at her GPS.
I knew it.
Kano thought. Endo Electronics, the same place Hitomi was headed.
Guess we're all lining up together.
Kanan said.
Or else we've been brought together.
She peered keenly at the building and its surroundings. Kano swallowed hard.
We? You think we've been roped into this too?
Is this going to be like an Avengers moment where all the characters just show up at Endo Electronics?
Yes.
We just need Osawa and Minonikawa to just randomly show up.
And Shizuo.
And Shizuo.
Quite possibly.
Kanan flashed a winning smile, then started to head into the shop.
Hold on. I need to report it to HQ.
Kano hurriedly called Kuze on his cell.
Kano, what's going on?
I've located Mario Osawa.
Huh? Was it?
Kuze's words came out as a surprised and childish yelp. Nailed it.
Come on.
Kanan's smile turned to a steely glare.
Time is critical.
He nodded silently back at her.
Kano, what's the location?
Kuze asked.
Where are you?
I can't say right now, sir. Please, just leave this to me.
Hey, now just hold on.
But Kano ignored the director's squawking and hung up. Kanan had already entered the shop. She seemed wholly unconcerned by the idea that she might be playing right into Alphard's hands. Despite her youth, she clearly thought of herself as quite capable. Warily, he followed after her. After navigating a veritable cavern of junk, they came to a door that led to the living room area beyond. Kanan quietly opened the door and immediately stepped inside. The home was divided into a dwelling area and a workroom. A man's voice could be overheard from the workroom, raised in anger. Oh, who do you think this is?
For my money, if I had to guess, I'm not 100%, but if I had to guess for my money, I would say probably it's Hachi's dad.
Hachi's dad? Alright. Let's see, what's Hachi's dad's voice? It's like, hey, I'm your dad. Okay. Don't you want to save Suzune? Kano and Kanan crept closer. Peering through the next doorway, they saw a tense confrontation in progress. Maria and Stanley were standing there, looking down at a middle-aged man who had restrained Hitomi with a stun gun pressed to her throat. Wow, what happened here?
Dad, of course I want to help Suzune.
A young man stepped into view, speaking to the older fellow.
But do you think this is what she'd want you to do?
Kano watched intently, tensing for action. There was so much at risk here. He was about to barge into the workroom when Kanan grabbed him by the shoulder.
Let's wait and see how this goes first.
She whispered. He realized this was good advice. If they provoked the older man, things could very well take a sharp turn for the worse. They just have to hope the young man could talk him down. The young man being Hachi, who we can't jump to, surprisingly.
No.
Peep out. Alright. Well. And we can't jump to Achi at that point in time. We can jump in 10 minutes after that point in time. We do have a jump to Osawa. What are you thinking?
That
I guess
sounds
Osawa is our only option. Okay. Got any thoughts?
Nope, never do.
Great. We're moving on. Checking out what's going on with Osawa, who is.
It's a
Did
very
he confront
green
his
guy.
wife or something?
Maybe. Yeah, she
He was chilling out in
hooking
yeah.
up with Tanaka before they got before she married him.
Osawa's phone rang and Minodekawa's phone number popped up on the LCD's display. The reporter must have finished looking into the matter Osawa had asked about.
Mr. Osawa, sorry to keep you waiting. How did it go? Well, I looked into the background of that story you asked about, and I learned who it was your wife was dating. Who was it?
Osawa asked immediately. There was a brief pause.
Mamoru Tanaka. I see.
Finally, he had proof positive of a relationship between I and Tanaka. Now, more than ever, it was no time to waver. No matter how painful the reality was, it was also true that if they hadn't been dating, there would probably be no way of saving Maria.
So,
Minodekawa said.
what was this big thing about disrupting the power balance of the world all about? There's something I need to take care of on my end first. Once I'm finished, I'll tell you everything. Yeah, that's fine. Things are pretty hectic on my end right now anyway.
Osawa had expected Minodekawa to put up more of a fight. He'd
Me
figured
too.
a reporter for 4-star General Gossip would be a bit more persistent. I mean, honestly though, things are pretty hectic. He's like... Isn't he, like, sprinting over to the club at this point?
With the bloody
The bloody knee.
Minnie Mouse.
Well, that happened at the end of the hour,
Oh.
but he's like right about to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably why.
Oh, by the way, there was one other thing I wanted to tell you about, Mr. Osawa.
Osawa could practically sense the finger pointing his way from the other end of the line.
Don't be too angry with your wife. All too often in this world, people let their anger get in the way of solving their problems. You may have a point.
Osawa let out a wry chuckle.
All right then. I'll call you back later.
Osawa found Ai standing by herself in the yard. She kept her back to him as he approached.
May I have a moment?
He asked quietly.
What?
Still, she didn't bother to turn around.
There's something important I need to talk to you about. I'm not in the mood right now. Please, I I realize you're upset about Tanaka's death, but
At the mention of Tanaka's name, Ai slowly shook her head.
don't. Just tell me what you want. Hurry up and get to the point.
Osawa tried to move closer to her, but she pointedly kept her distance. Ooh.
Yeah, let's ask if she was in love with Tanaka.
There was something Osawa needed to hear for himself before this went any further.
Were you in love with Tanaka? What are you talking about?
Osawa frowned.
Why did you marry me?
He asked.
You got to be kidding. This is the important discussion you wanted to have? Did you ever love me?
I let out a joyless chuckle.
Love? I'm amazed to even hear the word leave your lips.
There was a note of challenge in her voice.
Nailed it. Let me ask you the same question. Did you ever love me? To be honest, I don't even like you. I married you because I thought my daughters needed a mother. Wow.
I let out a weary sigh. Some of the combative tension left her shoulders.
That really is honest.
She said.
So I guess I should be honest too. I married you because my father asked me to. He wanted to chain you down so you didn't leave for some other company. And you're okay with marrying someone for something like that? For something like that? You really have no idea how much you're worth, do you? The value of one woman's life versus the potential profits your research would bring in? There's no comparing the two. If it meant that Okoshi Pharmaceutical could monopolize your talents, then what did it even matter what I wanted for myself?
There was something akin to desperation in Ai's words.
And so you sent me those threatening emails, too. What?
I looked at him in shock. He knew he'd guessed correctly.
You would go that far, just to keep me tied to your father's business? That's right. I would.
I bit down on her lip, hard.
But what would you even know about how I feel? I'm sorry. Don't apologize.
I shook her head vehemently.
I'm not the victim here. You say that, but isn't it because of me that you and Tanaka weren't able to stay together?
I began to tremble. Her secret was out.
When did you figure it out?
She asked.
Earlier today. That tie clip. Ha, right. Not the sort of gift one gives to one's husband's coworker, is it? Even if it was a listening device.
Ai's smile was bitter with self-depreciation. Deprecation.
Deprecated. She's not a car.
Osawa couldn't help but pity her. Even Tanaka must have suspected that she placed the company's profit above all else, if she'd go to such lengths to protect its interests. It was like she'd given up her entire life just for that.
Well,
She said.
aren't you angry?
Osawa just shook his head.
Are you tell me just one thing, though?
He asked.
Did Tanaka ever tell you what his lab password was?
His password?
I needed to get the antiviral out of the lab.
I flinched at the suggestion.
To get it out? What are you thinking? That belongs to the company.
I just need one dose to save Maria. Please, if you know, please tell me.
I don't know it.
Ai's voice was barely a whisper. Osawa looked his wife right in the eye.
You're telling the truth.
I am.
I see. Then, do you have any idea what number he might have used for a password?
Ai shook her head silently, then turned her back to her husband once more. Tanaka hadn't given Ai his password. Osawa's last chance had gone up in smoke. He let out a long, shaky breath and shut his eyes tight. Was it true? Was there nothing more he could do? Find out next time on another exciting episode of Osawa. Well, let's see. This is a jump that we just used. This is a jump to Achi that we can't use. What other jumps we got going? Nothing? Alright, looks like we are stuck. Although I do know what the jump we need to find is. Where it can be. If you want to move on today.
I think this might be a good place to stop. I know it's a bit of a short episode for all the Scramble heads at home.
Yeah, okay. Alright.
But,
Cool. Well, do you have any thoughts, impressions, predictions?
I predict that
For your money,
for my money,
if you had to guess.
if I had to guess, I think that probably he's going to find a way to save the kid.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But yeah, I have no idea what's going on. That's how you know it's a good story.
We've got a couple threads that have come together, or are about to come together. Achi and Kano, namely.
Yeah.
And I guess technically Tama, Maria, is there, even though her thread ended. Cool.
You got any parting wisdom for the folks at home? Perhaps food related?
Some
or
food related
otherwise.
parting wisdom. Not really. I guess butter makes everything delicious. You know, just slap some butter on something and it's automatically more delicious than it was before.
It does. That is very true.
Like there's these potato chips that have a little butter flavor to them here in Japan, and they're, well, I don't know they're better than regular potato chips, but they're pretty good, at least.
I'm bearish on potato chips. I feel like it's one of those foods
Yeah, you've brought this
like
up before. How they're like there's like nothing of substance to them. You eat them and you're still hungry, essentially, right?
oh, that's like Cheez-Its and popcorn and stuff. Yeah, that kind of that, but moreover, it's one of those foods that's like really good when you're a kid. Like when you're a kid, like nothing's better than like hot dogs and chicken nuggets and potato chips, right?
Yeah.
And then you get older and you're like, oh, I actually prefer a steak. I prefer a nice sandwich, like more like food. Like kids
Yeah.
like fake
The
crap.
fake processed artificial stuff.
Yeah. And then you get older and you gravitate more towards like real food.
Yeah.
I feel like I've kind of left potato chips behind, although I do still enjoy a chip from time to time.
Yeah. I know what you
Do
mean.
they say chip over there, or do they say crisp?
They say
Crisp.
they say chip.
Chipu?
Cheap. Yeah.
Chipu.
Cheap.
Chipu wa oishii desu.
Cheap. Potato. I guess sometimes I call it like potato. No, not really. They call French fries fried potato.
Fried potato.
Fried potato. Yeah.
Chipu.
Well, I guess that's it.
That's
Less-
it, folks.
Less than an hour.
That's the sode.
Just barely over 50 minutes. We're gonna do this next time. Maybe
Yeah.
next week. We'll see.
I think so.
We're gonna figure out how to move on, and hopefully finish the hour. It looks like all of these characters are almost done. We're gonna move on to the next hour. I don't remember what time it is in the game.
It's like 6, maybe?
Yeah, something like that. So we've got like an hour or two left, I think, or 3. We're approaching the end, and we hope you'll join us. So, see ya.
See you, folks.